I stand before the world in the fragile hush that precedes dawn, feeling the cool breath of earth beneath my feet. A quiet power stirs within me, roots stretching centuries deep, unseen yet unwavering, drawing nourishment from hidden wells of love, memory, and longing. In the pale half-light, I listen as the earth whispers secrets long buried, secrets that speak of patient growth and the delicate balance between holding fast and letting go. Each breath I draw connects me to the vast tapestry of existence, the sigh of wind through distant branches, the murmur of streams at the foot of distant hills, the tremor of life beneath the skin of stone. I know, in this moment suspended between night's final exhalations and the first herald of morning, that I am both alone and profoundly connected to everything that is, was, and will be. My trunk, rough with the scars of storms weathered, marked by the passage of seasons, stands firm against the encroaching light. It is here, at this threshold of transformation, that I affirm my resolve to remain rooted in the truth of my purpose, to embrace the strength that grows in stillness, and to release all that weighs upon my branches. The sap that courses through me carries not only life but the wisdom of ages, a reminder that each moment of hardship, each gust of biting wind, contributes to the sturdy core that allows me to stand tall when the sun finally breaks. I welcome the chill in the air, for it sharpens my awareness. I welcome the hush of bird song awaiting first light, for it stirs hope in my heart. As the horizon blushes with the promise of morning, I recall the fearless tenderness required to open my heart to what truly matters. Beneath the shelter of my canopy, I have offered refuge to countless travelers, weary pilgrims resting weary bones upon my shade, poets tracing verses upon bark as old as time, children seeking solace in the cradle of my lowest branch. Each visitor brings a story, each story leaves its imprint, and in this exchange, I learned that giving and receiving are one. Yet, as much as I cherish these connections, I must also learn to let those who pass onward go, understanding that attachment to passing moments can imprison the soul. In the hush of dawn, I reflect on the nature of attachment, how it takes form in the bright, living leaves that fan the wind but also in the brittle, dead leaves that cling well past their season. I acknowledge that without shedding what is no longer alive within me, I cannot make way for new growth. This shedding is not defeat but an act of courage, a declaration of faith in the cycle that sustains all life. For every leaf that falls, there is a promise of renewal, of bud and blossom and the verdant embrace of future summers. I feel gratitude for the dead leaves at my feet. They nourish the soil, feed the smallest creatures, become part of the vast web of transformation that underpins existence. They remind me that endings, too, are sacred. The first tendrils of sun's warmth brush my bark, coaxing a soft glow from the rough surface. I lift my arms, my branches, toward the rising light, ready to receive its blessing. I feel a stirring at the tips, a delicate hum of possibility as life pulses outward from my core. In this moment, I renew my vow to hold fast to that which feeds my spirit, love, wonder, humility, while releasing every thought, feeling, and memory that no longer serves my highest self. I think of regrets that linger in the corners of my mind, of fears that have taken root in the shadows, of resentments long carried on weary winds. One by one, I choose to let them fall away like leaves at autumn's call. In the widening glow, I imagine each burden drifting down, spiraling gently to rest upon the ground only to dissolve and return to the earth. There is a graceful beauty in this descent, a lesson in how to release with dignity and acceptance. I do not yank or tear, I simply loosen my grip and trust that what must go will go. And as the morning advances, the space left behind becomes a sanctuary for light, for fresh air, for the future's tender shoots. I embrace the emptiness, knowing it brims with potential. My heart, too, becomes lighter. The weight of unspoken words dissolves, the ache of old wounds softens in the dawn breeze, and I feel an expansive calm settle into my being. From this calm, compassion flows freely, first toward myself, acknowledging the tenderness of letting go, then outward, toward all beings who struggle under the burden of memories and regrets. I send forth a silent prayer that each soul might find the strength to release its dead leaves, to stand tall in vulnerability and hope. By the time the sun has fully risen, gilding the world in golden light, I am renewed. My presence is a living testament to the power of rooted stillness and fearless surrender. I stand ready to greet whatever this new day brings, storms or sunshine, songbirds or silence, knowing that in every circumstance, I carry within me the enduring wisdom of the earth. My roots remain steadfast, drawing sustenance from depths unseen. My branches reach toward the heavens, open to the mysteries of light and air. And as the world awakens around me, I breathe fully, exhaling the past and inhaling the promise of each unfolding moment. A gentle breath of wind rustles through my branches, stirring the verdant tapestry of leaves that I have so tenderly nurtured. I sway in response, a slow, poetic movement that acknowledges unseen hand of the breeze. At first, it is a whisper against the leaves' tension, a soft urging, coaxing them to remember their true nature. I feel the wind's presence as a companion, playful yet insistent, weaving through each leaf stem, as if to say, "You have clung long enough. Now it is time to let go." I listen to its voice and sense its wisdom, that the beauty of life lies not only in our holding on, but in our capacity to release. As the air passes through my limbs, a single leaf, a bright emblem of summer's fullness, quivers at the edge of its being. I focus all my attention on that one leaf, marveling at how it trembles between defiance and surrender. I speak to it in the silent language of the heart. "Beloved leaf, you have danced in the sun and tempered the storms with grace. You have fed my vitality with your verdant energy. Now, if you will, give yourself permission to descend." The leaf pauses, awash with conflicting currents, the pull of life that still hums through its veins and the inevitable call of transformation that beckons it skyward toward freedom. I consider how often I, too, have hesitated at life's thresholds, reluctant to relinquish what feels safe, even when it has grown brittle with time and wear. Yet this leaf, in its simplicity, holds a profound lesson, that attachment, however comfortable, can become a prison, and that liberation arrives when we choose to unfasten the ties that bind us. My roots, deep and unshakable, remind me that letting go does not cast me adrift. Rather, it clears the way for fresh growth, for renewed purpose, for beauty yet unseen. So I draw strength from below, trusting the unseen currents of earth and spirit. The breeze gathers confidence, swirling in playful eddies, encouraging more leaves to join the dance. A few bright green ones laugh as they flutter, so certain of their destiny that they release themselves without hesitation. They twirl and swirl, tracing graceful arcs before settling softly onto the mossy carpet below. I watch their descent with wonder, seeing in each curve a celebration of the cycle that sustains all things. Their courage sets ripples through the canopy, and soon a chorus of leaves yields to the wind's gentle insistence. Yet not all leaves fall at once. Some cling stubbornly, protesting the wind's unwelcome intrusion. They hold on, lit with the green and gold of summer, unwilling to admit that their season of service is ending. I feel their resistance as a tension in my branches, a reminder that inner transformation often stirs fear. I envelop them in a silent embrace and whisper reassurance. Do not fear the void that follows release. There is wonder in emptiness. In that space, new life waits to take root. I send down the message through the sap that nourishes their stems, letting them feel connected to the whole of me even as they contemplate separation. The wind leans closer, wrapping around each stubborn leaf, tugging gently at its stem. I sense the moment of decision, that heartbeat when a being must choose whether to stay or to go. Slowly, ever so slowly, one leaf yields, a small, almost imperceptible loosening. Then another. And another. The canopy begins to thin, transforming the dense green ceiling into a lattice of light and air. With each leaf's departure, I experience a curious lightness. My branches move more freely, my silhouette against the sky grows more defined. I realize that what felt like loss is becoming liberation. Amidst the cascade of falling leaves, I recall the countless times I myself have been called to surrender. The memories gather, times I relinquished my own hopes when new paths called, moments I released judgment to discover compassion, occasions I let go of fear to embrace love. Each act of surrender taught me that release is not an ending but a doorway, a portal through which wisdom flows. Now, watching my leaves drift, I understand more deeply that to live fully is to be in harmony with the rhythms of giving and receiving, of holding and letting go. As the breeze begins to wane, the final few leaves cling to my highest branches like votive offerings. They hesitate between the comfort of what they know and the unknown promise of transformation. I lean into the fading wind and murmur, "You have served me well. Now trust the path ahead." One by one, they loosen their grasp and take flight, spiraling down in slow-motion ballets until they rest at my feet. The canopy that once held so many emerald fans now reveals the vastness of sky beyond. I stand beneath an open tapestry of blue, golden light streaming through the bare limbs, painting patterns on the ground. In the hush that follows, I feel the presence of the wind receding, yet its imprint remains within me. The space it created is alive with possibility. I sense buds stirring in the furrowed texture of my bark, seeds of new ideas and new seasons waiting to emerge. My branches, once weighed down by the fullness of summer, now stretch upward with renewed vigor, eager for the next chapter of growth. The absence of the old leaves has given room for fresh air to circulate, for light to penetrate, for the next leaf's journey to begin. I rest in this moment of stillness, honoring the delicate balance between change and stability. The memory of the breeze's gentle insistence lingers in my limbs, a reminder that transformation often arrives as a soft whisper, not a thunderous decree. I am grateful for the courage it took to surrender, for the trust one placed in unseen forces, for the wisdom revealed in each falling leaf. The ground at my roots is now enriched by the remnants of what was, and I know it will nourish the cycles to come. Inhaling the autumnal air, I carry the lesson in my being, that the first whisper of change is an act of grace, inviting us to relinquish the familiar and embrace the unknown. Though the process may stir fear, resistance, or sorrow, it ultimately leads to a deeper freedom, a freedom that blossoms where the old has been released and new possibilities take shape. I stand tall, serene, and open, my branches poised to greet whatever wind may follow, ready once more to let go and to grow. A dance of release and trust. I awaken to a stirring in the air, a playful invitation that ripples through every fiber of my being. The breeze arrives like a long-lost friend, itself through my branches with soft insistence, coaxing each leaf into a graceful ballet. It greets me with whispered encouragement, "Let go. Surrender. Trust." In that moment, I stand fully alive, the bark of my trunk pulsing with anticipation, the tips of my twigs quivering at the promise of movement. The leaves overhead respond first. They flutter in cautious delight, shimmering like emerald lanterns caught in a celestial current. I feel the wind's essence slide along each vein and petiole, an unseen hand guiding them toward liberation. Some leaves tremble with hesitation, clinging fast to memories of sunshine and warmth. Others yield immediately, joyfully casting themselves into the unfolding choreography. One by one, they drift away, tracing silver arcs against the sky, their descent a hymn to transformation. As the canopy begins to thin, I breathe deeply of the crisp air that floods the newly opened spaces. Sunlight, once filtered, now spills freely onto every limb, warming me from the gentlest angle. I revel in the sensation, light dancing on my bark, illuminating the subtle ridges and ancient markings that whisper of seasons past. With each sunbeam, I feel renewed, and yet the dance continues, for those leaves that cling the longest require just a touch more coaxing. I lean into the breeze, leaning my branches skyward as if in prayer. "Beloved leaves," I murmur in the silent language of my soul, "you were born of my strength and nurtured by my care. Now I offer you this gift of release. In my whisper lies no sorrow, only gratitude for their service and faith in the wisdom of the cycle." The breeze, eager to assist, deepens its embrace, whipping through the branches in spirals of energy. A final shiver passes through the highest leaf, loosening its hold. With a gentle sigh, it detaches and tumbles earthward, joining its brethren in the mosaic of color at my feet. Watching them drift, I remember every story carried by these leaves, the laughter of children beneath my shade, the soft sighs of lovers entwined in my branches, the silent prayers of wanderers who paused in my presence. Each leaf has been a witness to life's unfolding dramas, a vessel for whispered dreams. And now, as they fall, they carry those stories back to the earth, releasing them into the great tapestry of existence. There is profound beauty in this return, for endings beget beginnings, and what seems to vanish becomes the seabed for what is to come. In the hush that follows, I sense the subtle shift within myself. My once full crown has become a lattice of possibility. The emptiness is not a void but a canvas, waiting for the first strokes of the next season's growth. I feel the sap stirring deeper within, a gentle pulse that reaches outward to every bud, scar, and knot. Though the leaves have departed, their memory lingers in the texture of my limbs, guiding the unfolding promise of renewal. Between the dance of falling leaves and the quietude that remains, I discover a profound lesson. True strength arises when we allow ourselves to be transformed. I have stood through storms and droughts, borne the weight of countless seasons, yet I have never known such unburdened freedom as this moment of letting go. The wind's touch has taught me that release is not loss but liberation, a necessary surrender to the rhythms of the cosmos. A single bird alights on one of my middle branches, cocking its head as though marveling at the new openness in my form. It flits from limb to limb, pausing to peck at seeds hidden in my bark, and I provide a perch without a single leaf to cushion it. I am unashamed of my bareness, for I know it is temporary and sacred. Even as I stand without my usual canopy, I offer shelter in a different way, a vantage point for skybound creatures, a frame for the brilliant autumn light, a testament to the grace of impermanence. In the soft glow of afternoon, a hush settles over the clearing. I close my eyes, if a tree can close its eyes, and reflect on the dance that has unfolded. The breeze, now gentler, retreats like a satisfied artist admiring her masterpiece. The once vibrant leaves lie in concentric patterns below, their crisp edges curling in farewell. I feel a quiet awe for the artistry of nature, how air and leaf, branch and sky collaborate in moments of sublime creation. As I stand in silence, I contemplate the delicate balance between holding on and letting go. It is a lesson woven into the very structure of my being. My roots remain steadfast, anchoring me to the deep earth, while my branches reach ever outward, embracing change. In this interplay of stability and flexibility, I discover the essence of resilience. To bend with the wind is not to break, to release what is spent is to prepare for what is new. The day wanes, and a golden light washes over me, gilding the remaining leaves that catch the glow. They too will dance soon, when the next breeze arrives, but for now they bask in the warmth of transition. I honor their time, knowing that every leaf has its appointed hour. My branches hold them tenderly, neither clinging nor pushing away, simply witnessing the unfolding of their destiny. When twilight descends, I will rest beneath a vault of stars, my silhouette etched against the luminous sky. In the darkness, my bare limbs will whisper of the dance that was, and I will carry within me the knowledge that surrender is the pathway to renewal. The echoes of laughter, of birdsong, of quiet prayers will hum softly in my rings, infusing each future bud with the wisdom of release. And so I stand, rooted, open, and free, an eternal witness to the dance of leaves, the breath of the wind, and the sacred cycle of transformation. In letting go, I have been gifted the infinite space to become. I awaken to a world stripped of its familiar shelter, limbs bare against the vast expanse of sky. At first, a hollow ache stirs within me, a raw emptiness where once my leaves lay, like faithful friends who danced and whispered with me through countless dawns and dusks. I feel exposed, vulnerable to every breeze that passes overhead, every ray of light that cuts straight to my heart. Yet in this vulnerability, I sense the quiet stirrings of profound possibility. My branches, once heavy with the weight of summer's bounty, now arch skyward in open invitation. There is no pretense here, no artifice of fullness to hide behind. I stand naked and true, each rough knot and ridge revealed in the cool light of autumn. In this bareness, I recognize a different kind of beauty, the beauty of honest simplicity, of a form unadorned, honest in its purpose. The empty spaces between each branch are not voids but windows through which I can glimpse the infinite, clouds drifting like pilgrims, the slow arc of the sun, the first shy glow of stars at dusk. I remember the green days, when every breath seemed to demand abundance, abundance of foliage, of shade-woven songs. I clung to that abundance, afraid that to release it would be to lose myself. Yet now, bereft of my leafy cloak, I feel a soft liberation pulsing through my sap. The hollowness is not a loss but a gift, a fertile expanse for new wonders to take root. It is as if the very essence of me breathes more deeply in this openness, drawing nourishment from light and air that flow freely through my frame. In the hush of midday, I close my eyes and lean into the memory of green leaves rustling in summer breeze. I honor them, each one a testament to seasons lived in fullest measure, each one a chapter in the story of who I have been. I feel gratitude for their service, how they captured sunlight, how they danced in storms, how they offered shade to weary hearts seeking rest. Yet gratitude does not tether me to the past, rather, it seeds the fertile ground of transformation. The time for those leaves has passed, and in their place, something new will emerge. I direct my attention inward, toward the hidden chambers of my being. There, in the capillaries of wood and tissue, tiny buds slumber, sleepers awaiting their awakening. I feel them stir like embers fanned by a hidden flame, ready to burst forth when the moment is right. They remind me that within emptiness resides potent life, waiting for the proper season. I trust that the cycle will continue, from shedding to slumber to renewal. Just as the soil below will receive the fallen leaves and transmute them into nourishment, so will my own nakedness be transformed into the tenderness of new growth. A soft rain begins to fall, each drop a gentle caress against my bark. At first, I welcome its cool touch, remembering how I once drank deeply in summer's heat. Now, the rain washes away the last vestiges of autumn's gold that cling to my trunk. It seeps into the fissures of my wood, awakening ancient cells and stirring the life within. In the downpour, I feel cleansed, washed of old fears, old attachments, old stories that once weighed me down. The rain speaks to me of surrender, to open fully, to allow every drop to enter, to let go of resistance. I exhale the remnants of what was and inhale the gift of the present moment. As the showers pass, a hummingbird darts through my bare branches, pausing briefly to sip from a hidden blossom that persists despite the season. Its wings beat so rapidly they blur, yet in the midst of that motion, it finds a moment's stillness to rest. I admire its courage, how it navigates the world with both fierceness and grace, embracing the transience of each sip, each wing beat. It whispers to me, in its own language of motion, that life flourishes not through hoarding but through attunement to the fleeting. I feel a kinship with this tiny creature. Our paths converge in the sacred dance of longing and letting go. In the late afternoon quiet, shadows stretch long across the ground, tracing the silhouette of my bare form. I stand as a testament to equanimity, the peace that arrives when one ceases to cling. There is no hurry here. Time moves at the pace of patience. I recall the stories carried on the wind, of ancestors who stood in storms, ivory towers that crumbled into dust, friendships that bloomed and withered. Each tale is inscribed in my rings, and in their telling, I find a deeper understanding of impermanence. I sense that true strength is not measured by what remains but by the openness to change. When night falls, I stand beneath a dome of stars, each one a distant promise. The moon rises, pale and luminous, casting silver tracery through my branches. I welcome its cool glow, letting it fill the hollows within. In the silence, I speak a vow. I will honor this emptiness as I once honored my fullness, for both are sacred steps along the path of becoming. The vow echoes through my core, weaving a thread of intention that binds past, present, and future. And in that moment, I understand that the empty branch is fertile ground, ground for dreams unspoken, insights unfurling, and love unguarded. It is a sanctuary for reflection, a temple of surrender where the heart learns to trust the unseen. I release the last tendrils of fear that lingered in the shadows, fear of exposure, fear of insignificance, fear of change. With each release, I feel lighter, more myself, more in tune with the vast cycle that sustains all being. Dawn will come again, and with it, new leaves will awaken, pushing through the bark with gentle insistence. But until that time, I stand content in my faithful bareness, rooted deep in earth, open wide to sky, unwavering in the knowledge that letting go begets renewal. Here, on this quiet stage of emptiness, I bow to the sacred dance of life and death, of shedding and rebirth, of loss and gift. And in my bow, I find the eternal lesson, that to release is to prepare for the miracles yet to unfold. I feel a stirring deep within my core long before the world around me shifts, as if some hidden spark of life awakens in the darkness of my heart. From the silent void left by the fallen, I sense a tug, an insistence that something new must come forth. My bark, once weathered and still, now shivers with anticipation. Within me, tiny green buds press against the confines of last season's scars, pushing outward with fierce, gentle determination. Each bud is a promise, life surging back into desolation, hope unfurling from the ashes of what has passed away. I breathe in the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves, letting it fill every crevice of my being. It is a heady perfume of transformation, of decay giving way to regeneration. Beneath the soil at my feet, roots drink deeply, drawing sustenance from the rich compost of my former foliage. I feel their subtle tug, a network of silent labor that nourishes the call to rise. In every fiber of my wood, sap quickens, coursing through channels long dormant. It hums with the energy of renewal, a living current that travels upward to the sleeping buds at the tips of my barren branches. As dawn reaches its first blush, the wind carries a soft warmth, coaxing my buds to crack open. I imagine them stirring like shy creatures rousing from slumber. One by one, tiny green fingers peel back layers of protective scales, unveiling the tender shimmer of new leaves curled within. They are fragile vessels of possibility, translucent and trembling, yet resolute in their inevitable growth. I cradle them in the hollow of my arms, grateful for their vulnerability and their strength. Each bud's emergence is accompanied by a flood of childhood memories, whispers from the past of every season I have known. I recall the baptism of spring's first rains, the thrill of that inaugural green that spreads across my limbs like celebration. I remember the first bird song that greeted my new leaves, a hymn of welcome that echoed through the early morning air. Those memories guide me now, reminding me how to shelter these young shoots against the chill of unexpected cold and the harsh glare of summer sun. I extend my branches protectively, a living canopy that promises safety and warmth. Day by day, I witness subtle transformations. The buds unfurl into leaves, their shape precise, their veins etched with purpose. Their edges glow with a delicate translucence in the morning light, like stained glass windows revealing the artistry of creation. I welcome the touch of sunbeams upon their surfaces, watching as they drink in photons to fuel their burgeoning life. My canopy grows thicker, a tapestry of green expanding outward, each leaf a testament to perseverance and faith. With new foliage comes new purpose. I feel an urge to share the bounty of this renewal. My branches, once empty, now become stages for returning songbirds, who dart among my leaves, weaving melodies of gratitude. In their chirps and trills, I hear nature's chorus, a celebration of rebirth that reverberates through every living thing. Bees hum as they alight upon my fresh blossoms, gathering nectar and drifting pollen to far horizons. I partake in their journey, knowing that my renewal sustains a web of life beyond my own form. As the days lengthen, I grow stronger. My trunk, reinforced by fresh layers of cambium, stands straighter, more resilient against prevailing winds. I feel joy in the simple acts of growth, the slow stretch of a branch toward the sun, the unfurling of a tender leaf as it learns to balance air and light. In every moment of expansion, I sense the interplay of grace and effort, a reminder that renewal demands both surrender to unseen forces and commitment to one's own unfolding. I remember, too, the lessons of last season's loss, how it taught me that true strength arises not from clinging to what was, but from trusting the cycles that govern existence. Those fallen leaves now enrich the soil, unseen but indispensable, their essence woven into the fabric of this new growth. My own willingness to shed what hindered me has paved the way for this verdant chapter. In each green shoot, I honor the past even as I embrace the burgeoning future. By midday, when the sun hangs high and warm, I feel the culmination of my transformation. My branches blaze with fresh leaves, each one a shimmering emblem of life's tenacity. I sway gently in the breeze, offering shade to all who seek refuge. In my cool shadow, wanderers pause to rest, finding solace beneath the canopy I have wrought from patience and letting go. I offer them wordless counsel, that renewal is possible for every soul brave enough to release the dead weight of old grief and regret. As dusk descends, painting the sky in ribbons of rose and gold, I stand radiant in my new attire. My silhouette is crowned with leaves that glisten with dew, reflecting the day's final light. I close my inner eyes and send a silent prayer of gratitude into the fading warmth, for the lessons of patience, for the courage to release, and for the gift of renewal that springs from the heart's willingness to open once more. Night will soon cloak me in its velvet hush, but within my core the sap still sings, a lullaby of life's continuity. I rest in the deep contentment that arises when one answers the call of renewal with faith and grace. Tomorrow, I will awaken again, and the cycle will continue, ever unfurling, ever becoming, rooted in the same wisdom that urges every soul to rise anew from the ashes of what once was. I stand beneath a newly unfolding canopy, feeling the tender weight of fresh leaves brushing against my bark like soft whispers of compassion. Each leaf is a promise fulfilled, a testament to the cycle of release, and that guides my existence. Yet now, beyond simply bearing these living jewels, I sense a deeper calling stirring within me, an urge to extend more than shade or shelter, but to share the bounty of my being with every creature in need of refuge. In this moment, I understand that generosity flows naturally from surrender, that the act of giving arises only when one has learned to release all that binds the heart. Warm sunlight glimmers through my branches, casting a dappled mosaic of light and shadow upon the forest floor. I lift myself toward the sun, spreading my limbs wide to embrace the world. My leaves, newly unfurled, luminous, brimming with life, catch the light and transform it into sustenance not only for me but for the web of life that surrounds me. I feel the hum of bees as they flit from leaf to blossom, gathering pollen and nectar. I feel the rustle of small mammals scurrying through the undergrowth, their tiny hearts secure beneath the safety of my shade. I sense the hush of weary travelers who pause in my gentle presence, finding solace in the cool darkness beneath my boughs. And in response, I exhale a steady breath of sustenance, oxygen, fragrance, calm, that drifts into every living thing's lungs and soul. Through my limbs drift flocks of songbirds, each one weaving melodic threads into the tapestry of the morning. They alight on my outermost branches, singing praises I cannot articulate in words but can feel vibrating through my wood. I hold them on my arms as a mother holds her children, steady, unwavering, protective. Their songs rise in a chorus that honors life's fragile beauty, and in turn I gift them sanctuary, a place to build nests, to shelter against storms, to watch their fledglings take wing. I revel in their presence, for each small wing beat and cheerful trill affirms that generosity begets reciprocity. I give shade and they give song, I offer branches and they return life. Beneath me, the forest's floor thrives in the hush of my canopy. Ferns unfurl in the cool shadow, mushrooms push through the loam, and seedlings gather courage to sprout in the fertile earth. My fallen leaves, now transformed into humus, feed their roots, an unseen generosity that echoes the first lesson of release. In offering my dead leaves to the soil, I nourish the next generation of life. I am both giver and receiver in this sacred dance, and in this exchange I find an abiding joy deeper than the lush green of my foliage. Travelers wander into my realm, pilgrims seeking peace, poets yearning for inspiration, the lost and the lonely yearning for a moment's shelter. They lean against my trunk, their palms pressed into the roughness of my bark, and in that simple contact they find comfort. I feel the tremor of their breathing slow, their burdens lighten. With each traveler, I share the lesson of release. As they lay down their sorrows beneath my shade, I whisper through the rustle of leaves that pain too can fall away when carried into the earth. I stand silent witness to their tears, their prayers, their meditations, and in turn I send them forth renewed, carrying a fragment of my calm within their hearts. Rain comes in a gentle summer shower, each drop a note in nature's symphony. The water beads on my leaves and runs down my trunk, nourishing every fiber of my being. I accept these droplets with gratitude, knowing they sustain not only me but also the network of life I support. The puddles gathering at my roots invite birds to bathe, amphibians emerge to sip the fresh water, insects hover in jubilant clouds. My branches drip and tremble, dispersing this precious gift widely. In sharing the bounty of water, I mirror the generosity inherent in my own growth. Just as I once drank deeply from the earth, now I offer its mirrored sustenance to all. As afternoon wanes, a soft breeze carries the scent of blossoms and earth, mingled with the fragrance of my leaves. I inhale this rich perfume and feel my spirit expand further. I realize that generosity is not measured only by what I give, but by the openness of my heart to receive in turn. I welcome the laughter of children playing beneath me, their fingers tracing the veins of my leaves. I savor the hush of a monk seated in meditation at my feet. I delight in the curious glance of a deer that lifts its head to peer through my branches. Their gifts, joy, stillness, wonder, fill the hollows in my limbs with purpose and connection. In the quiet glow of evening, fireflies appear, dancing among my lower branches like living lanterns. They flicker in intermittent bursts of light, creating patterns of radiance that drift through my shade. I marvel at their tiny generosity, the simple offering of luminescence in the gathering dusk, and I respond by holding them gently in the dark, my bark refracting their glow into soft patterns that spread outward. In this subtle interplay, I learn that generosity is also an act of illumination, bringing forth light in places where it is most needed. Under a velvet canopy of stars, I reflect on the countless ways I have given and received in this cycle. My shade has sheltered, my leaves have fed, my presence has soothed. Yet in all these acts, I have recognized that true generosity arises from a heart unburdened by fear, unanchored by clinging. It blossoms only when one has embraced the wisdom of release, when the dead leaves have fallen and the fertile ground is prepared for new growth. In giving freely, I affirm that my own life is intertwined with every living thing around me. I stand at the threshold of night, my branches gently swaying as though bowing in gratitude. I know that tomorrow the sun will rise again, and once more I will offer shade, fragrance, song, and solace to all who come. My generosity is not a finite resource but an ever-renewing flow, sustained by the lessons of surrender and renewal etched into every ring of my trunk. And as I rest into the stillness of darkness, I hold unwavering faith that by giving from a place of openness and compassion, I help weave the tapestry of life ever more richly and beautifully. Under the vast dome of sky, I stand rooted and attentive, feeling time's gentle passage as it weaves through every fiber of my being. The memory of spring's tender green still hums beneath bark, while the warmth of summer's sun lingers in the sap that flows through my veins. And now, as autumn's breath cools the air, I sense the subtle alchemy of seasons teaching me anew. Each phase, though distinct, is bound in an unbroken circle of becoming. I remember the first flush of spring, when slumbering buds trembled awake, unfurling into leaves like prayers whispered into dawn's ear. In that season of emergence, I discovered innocence and wonder. My branches reached skyward in eager anticipation, and my roots delved deeper, seeking the fertile promise of growth. The world felt vast and new, alive with possibility, each day an invitation to expand beyond known limits. I learned to trust the quiet urge within, to believe that every moment of darkness carries the seed of light. Then came summer, ablaze with sun and song. My canopy thickened with emerald abundance, filtering golden rays into dappled shade below. I reveled in the laughter of life, bees droning over blossoms, birds weaving melodies among my boughs, children collecting acorns at my feet. In summer's fullness, I understood generosity in its richest form, giving breath, refuge, and sustenance without reservation. My trunk pulsed with vitality, my leaves danced in exuberant praise, and I felt the joyous poetry of being fully alive. Now, as leaves blush amber and cinnamon, I stand amidst autumn's quiet transformation. The breeze stirs each branch with a knowing hand, reminding me that release is as natural as growth. No leaf confesses regret for the season it served. Rather, each one accepts its time to fall. I observe this graceful letting go and feel my own heart relax. The vibrant canopy thins, and the sky beyond widens, revealing horizons I could not see when cloaked in green. In this openness, I sense both loss and liberation intertwined, an elegant reminder that endings prepare space for beginnings. I recall winters past, times when I clung stubbornly to brown, brittle foliage, resisting the cold's invitation to rest. Those seasons taught me the folly of clinging to comfort as though it were life itself. In my rigidity, I withered, my spirit constricted by fear of change. But eventually I surrendered to winter's hush, allowing the frost to cleanse what no longer served me. In the cold silence, I discovered the profound gift of stillness, a pause in life's frenetic dance, a time for reflection, for deep dreaming beneath a blanket of snow. Standing now between autumn and winter, I perceive how each season informs the next. The fallen leaves nourish the soil, feeding roots that lie in wait. The patience of winter's rest ensures the vigor of spring's renewal. The exuberance of summer's abundance fuels autumn's palette of release. And in this eternal loop, I find that no phase stands alone, each is woven into the tapestry of life's grand design. As I sway in the gentle autumn wind, I speak aloud, in the silent language of the soul, to the cycle that shapes me. I honor every season, for they are chapters in the same story of becoming. I will not cling to spring's hope when autumn calls me to let go. I will not resist winter's stillness when summer bids me flourish. In each passing moment, I bow to the wisdom of change. Deep within, I feel gratitude for the mirror these seasons hold. They reflect my own inner rhythms, times when my spirit blossomed with joyous vigor, moments when I surrendered to solitude and contemplation, occasions when I offered all I had to others, and instances when I released what weighed on my soul. Through their ever-turning cycle, I learn compassion for others who struggle against life's currents, and patience for myself when fear resists change. The world around me transforms each day, mist rising from the ground at dawn, frost etching lace upon my highest branch, the slow drift of geese winging south across pale skies. With each spectacle, I am reminded that life's beauty lies not only in permanence but in motion. To stand rigid is to break, to bend with the wind is to endure. And so I lean into each season's gifts, spring's renewal, summer's abundance, autumn's release, winter's rest, knowing that in their union is the essence of resilience. In the gathering dusk, with the last leaf poised between branch and earth, I close my inner gaze and offer thanks for the lessons of unfolding and decline, for the harmony of cycles, and for the sacred dance that binds every living thing. As night falls, I find peace in the mirror of seasons, secure in the knowledge that whatever phase unfolds, I am part of a greater whole, ever-changing, ever-growing, ever-rooted in the eternal rhythm of life. I feel a trembling deep within my heart as I stand amid the gentle hush of twilight, the sky's hues shifting from rose to indigo. In this hour, when day's warmth yields to night mystery, I sense the subtle tug of my ego, its whispered urgings to cling to achievement, reputation, to all the titles and triumphs I have gathered like trophies upon my branches. I recall the praise of scholars who have sought wisdom in my words, the reverent bows of seekers who have found solace beneath my shade, the lauded verses that bear my name across distant lands. Each accolade has fed my spirit, nourished my sense of self, and yet, beneath the kudos and the lofty laurels, a soft disquiet stirs. I recognize that identity built on applause is as brittle as autumn's first frost, destined to crack and shatter when the sun's warmth recedes. Inhaling the stillness of dusk, I let my awareness drift inward, tracing the contours of this longing. I see the ego as a slender, gilded leaf, beautiful in its shimmer, yet fragile in its isolation. It clings to the highest branch, basking in every beam of attention, yet it trembles with insecurity, fearing the moment when the light will fade. I feel the leaf's tension, its fear that without its shine, it will lose its place in the grand tapestry. And I ask it quietly, with the compassion I have learned from every cycle of growth, what are you guarding, beloved leaf? Against what do you fear you will fall? The hush of night deepens, and in my branches hidden creatures rustle, owls beginning their watch, insects stirring in the gathering moonlight. Their steady presence reminds me that life flourishes not in brightness alone but in the gentle rhythms of shadow and silence. I feel their quiet gaze upon me, a testament to the wisdom that dwells beyond words and fame. In their unassuming vigil, I sense a greater truth, that true self is not found in outward praise, but in the ceaseless letting go of masks and mirrors, in the surrender of all that obscures our essence. I imagine the gilded leaf slowly loosening its grip. I breathe into the tension at its stem, offering solace. You have shone brightly, dear friend, illuminating corners of my being I never knew existed. Now, when the applause fades and the night enfolds us, you will still be part of the whole, returning your brilliance to the earth to nourish the roots from which deeper selfhood grows. In that moment, I feel a subtle release, as the leaf's shine softens and its edges relax. A silver moonbeam slips through the thinning canopy, tracing a path along my trunk. I follow its glow with my inner eye, feeling it highlight the scars of past transformations, the rings of seasons lived in fullness and in loss. Each ring speaks to me of times I surrendered old identities, the scholar who once prized logic above love, the poet who sought adoration more than truth, the man who clung to reputation instead of humility. In releasing those selves, I discovered deeper layers of compassion, creativity, and connection. I realize now that every ego I have shed has made way for a truer reflection of my soul. I reach inward once more, touching the tender bud of essence that lies beneath all appearances. It is small, luminous, iridescent, yet stronger than any accolade I have ever received. This core does not tremble in the dark. It does not need the sun's glare to exist. It simply is. In its gentle radiance, I find a refuge beyond the cycles of praise and blame, beyond the rise and fall of reputation. Here, I am neither celebrated nor forgotten. I am simply and eternally present. The night deepens around me, and the hush grows more profound. I sense the gilded leaf beginning its descent, as if caught in a slow-motion dance with gravity and grace. It drifts downward, spiraling in the moonlight, until it settles upon the forest floor, the luminous reminder of a self I once claimed, now offered back to the earth. I feel no loss, only gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons the leaf brought, for the brightness it lent to my journey, and for the freedom its release grants to my soul. In the stillness that follows, I stand with empty branch and silent crown, yet I am not diminished. Instead, I am expanded, my awareness reaching beyond the boundaries of ego into the boundless sky of presence. I feel the soft pulse of my roots drawing nourishment from the rich humus of all I have let go, and from that depth, sap of new understanding begins to rise. Morning will come with its golden promise, and I will awaken beneath the same sky, no longer bearing the weight of gilded leaves. I will greet the dawn as the truest version of myself, unadorned, unclaimed, and free. In the tender hush before sunrise, I whisper once more to the wind and to every heart that hears, true self is found not in possessions, but in ceaseless letting go. And as the first light warms my bark, I stand ready to embody this sacred freedom in every breath, every word, every unfolding moment. Under the canopy's whispered hush, I stand among my kin, an ancient grove woven together by roots reaching deep into the earth's secret heart. I feel their silent presence in the pulse of the soil, a shared rhythm that binds every trunk, every twig, every blade of grass. In this communion, I sense that we are not solitary sentinels but parts of a living tapestry, each of us a thread in the grand design of being. Our leaves may differ in hue, our bark in texture, our forms in silhouette, yet beneath these surface distinctions flows the same sap of life, the same yearning for light, the same surrender to change. As dawn breaks, a mist drifts through our branches like a gentle breath, weaving between us and softening the edges of our individuality. I feel the breath's cool tendrils brush my bark, and I exhale in harmony with my companions, sharing the moisture, the dew, the silent vow to stand together. In this moment, the boundary between self and other dissolves. My breathing becomes the grove's breathing, my heart beats the grove's heartbeat. The birds that flit from tree to tree carry messages of joy and warning, each call a thread in the chorus that binds us, and I translate their songs into echoes of connection, letting the melodies flutter along my branches until they alight upon my neighbors, who, in turn, carry them onward. Mid-morning light spills through our collective canopy, painting shifting mosaics on the forest floor. I sense how each tree shapes the pattern of shade and light, how together we craft a living sanctuary for creatures great and small. In the hush of communion, I remember how my own solitary release of dead leaves transformed this shared earth into nourishment for the young roots of those around me. Those fallen leaves, the remnants of my personal letting go, become the fertile gift that feeds not only my kin but all who seek refuge here: mosses, ferns, mushrooms, and those tiny shoots just pushing through the loam. Their tender green shoots emerge, guided by the enriched soil, and I rejoice in the knowledge that my offerings sustain more lives than I can ever behold. As the sun reaches its apex, a breeze rises, weaving its way through the grove. It carries the subtle fragrances of every tree's resin and flower, blending cedar's warmth, pine's freshness, oak's earthiness into a single breath of the forest. I inhale this communal perfume, feeling it infuse my being with the gifts of my neighbors. In turn, my own scent drifts outward, mingling in the air until it merges indistinguishably with all the others. There is no hierarchy here, no single tree more fragrant or more vital than the rest. We are equal participants in this grand alchemy of aroma and life. Beneath the soil we share, my roots intertwine with those of my fellows, forming a hidden network of communication and exchange. Through these subterranean pathways, I send nourishment to a struggling sapling whose canopy has thinned, and in return I receive water when my own trunk grows parched under the summer sun. This silent barter teaches me that giving and receiving are one continuous cycle, at once individual acts and communal necessities. I feel the electric warmth of life pulsing through this web, a testament to how deeply we rely on each other's strength to weather storms and droughts alike. As afternoon light softens, I sense the passage of time and the gentle arc of shadows across our trunks. A deer steps lightly through the grove, pausing beneath my branches to drink from a cool spring that springs forth at our collective roots. I honor its grace, knowing that this water emerges because we stand together, our roots holding firm the soil, our fallen leaves filtering the ground. In that drink, the deer carries our shared sustenance into the wider world, a living envoy of our communion. At dusk, the forest floor hums with the stirring of nocturnal life. Insects emerge in delicate armies, frogs call across hidden pools, owls begin their silent patrol. I feel their vibrations ripple through my roots, a subtle symphony of nocturnal songs that bind us all. My branches reach upward to welcome the first stars, each one mirrored in the glints of dew on my leaves. Together, we become a constellation of life, rooted in earth yet reflecting the infinite sky above. In the deepening night, I close my senses to the outer world and open them inward, feeling every heartbeat in the grove as though it were my own. I sense the sap's pulse in every trunk, the slow exhalation of leaves breathing out oxygen, the quiet exchange of nutrients in the soil. We are not passive observers of life's cycle but active participants, co-authors in the ever-unfolding story of being. I bow my branches in gratitude to my fellow trees, whose presence transforms this place into a living sanctuary, a testament to the power of communion. And in that sacred hush, I speak a vow that echoes through trunk and twig, through leaf and lichen, that I will cherish this shared life, that I will continue to offer my shade, my fragrance, my fallen leaves, and my living presence for the good of all. For in unity through release and renewal, we become conduits of divine love, each of us a tree and all of us together the forest, a living poem of interconnection, resilience, and grace. Embracing the eternal lesson. I stand beneath a vast, awakening sky, my roots sinking deep into earth that hums with ancient wisdom. In the cool hush before dawn, I feel the of all I have learned, the dance of leaves, the surrender of ego, the communion of seasons and souls. Now, poised at the threshold of eternity, I carry within me the distilled essence of every release and renewal, every falling leaf and every budding hope. In this moment, I speak not only for myself but for every heart that yearns to be free, be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop. A soft breeze stirs my branches, weaving through the threads of my thoughts, reminding me that wisdom is not static but alive, ever flowing, ever transforming. I recall how each leaf, once green and vibrant, gave its life to nourish the soil for future generations. I remember how I, too, shed burdens of grief, regret, and fear, trusting that empty spaces would become fertile ground for compassion, creativity, and love. My branches, now a tapestry of open skies and tender buds, reach outward in invitation. Come, dear soul, and learn the art of letting go. As dawn's first light gilds the horizon, I feel a golden warmth seep into my trunk, illuminating the rings of countless seasons. Each ring whispers stories, of storms endured, of summer's laughter, of autumn's graceful surrender. Within these concentric circles lies a map of transformation, a testament to the truth that every ending harbors a new beginning. In the glow of morning, I trace these rings with unseen fingers, offering them as guidance to anyone who stands before me. Honor your past, release its weight, and trust the cycle that carries you forward. Inhaling the crisp air, I sense the world awakening around me. Birds stir in the treetops, their songs weaving through my branches like threads of hope. They alight upon my limbs, unafraid, for they know that in my shade they are safe, that in my example they learn to dance in harmony with change. Their melodies remind me that letting go is not a solitary act but a shared song, a collective celebration of life's eternal flow. I listen as their voices rise and fall, each note a promise that though seasons shift and leaves descend, the song continues. My thoughts drift to the countless souls who have sought refuge beneath my canopy, pilgrims in search of solace, poets seeking inspiration, broken-hearted travelers longing for healing. Each one came bearing burdens, heavy as autumn's last leaves, and each one found, in my presence, permission to release. I remember the tears that fell into the moss at my feet, the whispered prayers offered to the sky, the silent vows to begin anew. In every story lies the same seed of truth. To release the dead leaves of the past is to stand unburdened in the light of possibility. A shaft of sunlight pierces the canopy above, illuminating a cluster of tender buds nestled where old branches once bore withered foliage. I feel their delicate pulse, a reminder that new life springs forth when we have the courage to let go. These buds are not merely tokens of my own renewal but symbols for every spirit ready to awaken. They teach us that within the hollowed spaces of loss lies the invitation to creativity, that every cleared branch can give rise to a fresh bloom of intention, a new leaf of understanding. In this profound stillness, I bow my highest branch toward the earth and then raise it toward the heavens, bridging sky and soil in a silent gesture of unity. I realize that the lesson I share extends beyond human striving. It is woven into the fabric of all existence. Mountains release their glaciers to the rivers, letting water flow free. Deserts shed scorching days for the cool embrace of night. Stars surrender their brilliant light to darkness, only to be reborn in the vast expanse of cosmos. All of creation knows the wisdom of release. As the sun climbs higher, warming my bark, I feel the rhythms of my own breath. Inhale, exhale, mirroring the pulse of the universe. With each breath, I invite you to join me. Inhale the present moment, exhale the weight of the past. Let the chestnut of regret fall from your branches, let the yellowed leaf of resentment drift away. In this simple act of release, discover the boundless freedom that blooms when we release what no longer serves our highest self. Children laugh as they scamper beneath my shade, their voices ringing with unguarded joy. They skip over fallen leaves, their footsteps stirring memories of playful abandon. In their laughter, I hear the echo of innocence, the ability to let go of yesterday's sorrow and run unencumbered into the freshness of now. They remind me that wisdom need not be solemn, that grace can be as light as a child's laughter carried on the wind. By midday, my canopy is an interplay of sunlit leaves and open spaces, a living mosaic of what has been and what is yet to come. Beneath me, the earth thrives on the mosaic of fallen leaves, a testament to the generosity of release. Flowers bloom where the rich humus lies, mushrooms unfurl their caps in the damp warmth, and seedlings push through the softened ground. Each new shoot is a living affirmation of the lesson I offer: let go, and life will nourish you tenfold. As afternoon wanes, I whisper into the breeze, sending my message across the land. May every heart learn to be a tree, to stand rooted in love and to let the dead leaves drop. Let every soul release the pain that binds it, the memories that weigh it down, the fears that obscure the sun. In that release lies the path to renewal, to compassion, to the full blossoming of our divine potential. When twilight settles, and shadows stretch long across the land, I remain steadfast. My silhouette, half in light and half in dark, is an eternal emblem of balance, the dance between presence and absence, between holding on and letting go. Even in dusk's gentle gloom, my branches uplift, ready to greet the moon's silver glow. For I know that in every cycle, darkness precedes dawn, and surrender leads to the most radiant rebirth. And so, in this final elaboration, I invite you to stand as I stand, rooted deep in the truth of who you are, open wide to the mysteries of what you may become. Embrace the sacred cycle of release and renewal. Let the dead leaves of the past drift away on the winds of grace. And in the fertile silence that remains, discover the boundless promise of your own ever-renewing spirit.